Downtown, still kind of some hazy weather. Temperature of 82 degrees, still humid. There have been a few very widely isolated showers that have tried to pop up. Most of these will not amount to much as we go through the evening overnight. I expect lows to drop into the mid-60s. It'll be warm and muggy, but some relief from the humidity on the way. We'll talk about it coming up. Eyewitness News starts right now.
This is Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR.
Tonight's top stories at 6. A special meeting of the Utica Common Council tonight concluded, yet again without a clear plan for complete streets. We'll tell you when you can expect answers from the city. And wildfire smoke is back in the conversation this week. Forest rangers with the state's Department of Environmental Conservation just returned home after spending 2 weeks battling those flames. We'll hear what they had to say later. Plus, Mayor Palmieri announcing big changes coming to Franklin Square Alley in downtown Utica. We'll bring you the details. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for Eyewitness News at 6. I'm Shelby Pay, filling in tonight for Jamie Ajoulay. The question of whether or not Genesee Street in Utica would be 2 lanes or 4 from Oriskany Street South to Court Street was expected to be resolved this afternoon at a special meeting of the Utica Common Council. The answer to the question? Well, you'll have to wait until Wednesday. Ordinance 9 was put before the council this afternoon. That ordinance would have returned the flow of traffic for those 5 blocks of Genesee Street to 2 northbound and 2 southbound lanes, as they had been for decades. But instead of a vote, the council tabled the motion and put it back into committee. It is expected to be back on the floor for a vote at the next council session on Wednesday, but the vote has to be unanimous. So will there be a resolution? Well, we'll have to wait and see. For the 3rd time in 2 months, smoke has swept in from the Canadian wildfire to blanket central New York and other parts of the Northeast. And in just the last few days, a group of highly skilled New York State Department of Environmental Conservation forest rangers returned home after spending 2 weeks in the rugged Canadian wilderness, battling these wildfires. This morning, the DEC, along with the rangers, held a press conference to speak to the media about their experience in Canada, the job they were sent there to do, and when we can expect these fires to stop burning.
This crew, they raised their hands a couple of weeks ago and said that they would leave their day jobs here in New York and go fight those fires. Again, 24 million acres of fires all across Canada, and in particular in Quebec and Ontario, where we see some of these real blazes that are impacting air quality here in New York.
The gist of our 2-week assignment was seek and destroy hotspots. We did it really well. I think we showed Quebec what we can do. State, provincial governments, national governments are fighting to catch up with the new normal, and the pace of damage being done to our environment is accelerating. They pretty much said winter's going to be the end of their fires, at least in the section we were on. Mother Nature, I believe, would be the only way to put this thing out. It's just too dry up there.
But we're not quite finished discussing wildfires just yet. A record 24 million acres in Canada have been destroyed due to the ongoing wildfires. Our Capital correspondent, Emil Taligi, tells us what forest rangers have been doing to help during these unpredictable times.
Pretty much that was the gist of our 2-week assignment, was seek and destroy hotspots. And we did it really well. I think we showed Quebec what we can do. I think they appreciated everything we did.
Gary Miller was in charge of a 20-person crew while in Canada. He says normally firefighters dig lines to help control fires. These are trenches that deprive the wildfire of additional fuel by removing surrounding debris. But Miller says this wasn't possible in Canada.
In Quebec, because the fire was so big, and hand line and dozer line you just can't do it with the terrain. It's pretty much they let the fire go until it hits a wet area, and then they use their helicopters to control it that way.
He says there were around 8 helicopters being used in Canada, and they did a great job executing precision drops with Bambi buckets. As far as when we'll see an end to all this, that's to be determined.
It's just not feasible. Couldn't tell you how many people you'd have to put on it, and besides, the risk is not Not worth it.
We often put it in terms of, you know, the thinking, breathing thing that has a mind of its own, fire.
John D'Alessandro, Association Secretary for FASNY, says it's hard to predict where these wildfires will travel and how long they'll last.
You know, firefighters believe that they have a large wildland fire under control, but then the wind shifts, okay? And it goes into a whole new area that might have a lot of combustible material available to it.
Those wildfires impacting New York State. The governor announced an air quality health advisory for today, which can be monitored through airnow.gov. Reporting in Albany, Amel Talegi.
And in some exciting news, earlier today, Utica Mayor Robert Palmieri and First Ward Councilperson Katie Aiello unveiled plans to beautify and activate the alley at Franklin Square. The project is part of the Utica Prosperity Initiative and is where Councilperson Aiello directed her district's allocation of American Rescue Plan Act money. The alley will take on a theme of the Erie Canal, which is a big part of Utica's history and its downtown. The project features the already completed restoration of the walls that frame the alley. Also included in the project are ribbon-style benches and Erie Canal motif laid out in ruby lake glass along the alley floor, and other decorative elements. The city says that Franklin Square Alley has been the location of public art and programming in recent years, and this redesign will enhance residents' ability to continue those traditions. Construction will start later in the summer and should be finished by the fall. Be sure to get our CNY homepage app to stay up to date on all the latest local news. But before we go to break, here's a preview of your weather with Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint.
All right, Shelby, good evening to you. Good evening, everybody. Got me? Okay. Now I still hear that. Well, then they don't got you. Test. There's good level. Yeah. Okay. They said, hey, Bob. They said they have me now and I sound good.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. We switch batteries.
Your eyewitness weather forecast.
Hey, good evening to you. So I'm meteorologist Craig Flint. Bear with us as we work out some kinks here. It's a confined space we're all in right now as we work to improve and give you something brand spanking new coming up here in just a few short weeks. All right, let's talk about the weather and what's going on right now. Once again, we're dealing with this smoky haze. You can kind of see that grayish color and tinge to the sky out there. 82 now. The dew point is 64. So yeah, it's going to be warm and humid tonight. I think maybe a few thunder showers early, otherwise hazy, muggy, mild, temperatures in the mid 60s. And then as we get into tomorrow, warm and humid. Again, another isolated shower or thunderstorm around. High temperature right around 82. So we're in the low 80s now from Utica up to Marcy and Rome. Verona is at 83. Clinton at 81 late this afternoon and this evening. 84 in Ilion, Little Falls at 85. Dolgeville at 83. Upper 70s, Springfield to near 80 along Route 20 in Richfield Springs. 81 in Hartwick to Milford. Cooperstown is at 82. And temperatures are in the mid and upper 70s right now across the North Country. Here's a look at Doppler radar. Again, a few showers cropping up near the I-88 corridor, down near Cobleskill. You can see a few of those right there trying to pop up. But again, for the most part, these are very widely isolated. A few down this way, and then also as you make your way to the north and west, just to the east of downtown, we had a quick little shower that way. All right, let's bring you up to date with the latest on the air quality alert. That is in effect, again, unhealthy for sensitive groups, as we have some of that Canadian wildfire smoke. And this is kind of a snapshot of the forecast. Notice the darker colors swinging through central New York here. And it's still going to be around through the day tomorrow. So as we get into the late afternoon, you can start to see how it lets up a little bit. And as we take a look at where it is now, this is vertically integrated smoke, kind of a current picture of how it's behaving in the atmosphere. And I want to point out, off to the north and west right now, you can see up over Michigan here, notice how the colors become almost non-existent. So that's why we think as we go into the day tomorrow, we will slowly start to see the air quality improve. Hot weather all the way down to Miami, over towards Texas and out to the south and west. Been baking out there. So quick check of Futurecast as we go through the course of the day tomorrow. Maybe a few isolated storms popping up, but again, nothing widespread. It's still going to be warm and humid. Highs will be in the low 80s. It's not until Wednesday that we start to get some relief from the humidity building in. So 7-day forecast looks like this: 82 tomorrow, 80 Wednesday. Another chance of late day showers and storms Thursday. Warmer, more humid. Highs will be in the mid 80s by then. And then scattered storms Friday look likely, becoming more spotty by Saturday. And it should clear out for the second half of the weekend and into early next week and start to warm up again. Shelby, over to you.
All right, thanks, Craig. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on News Nation.
Tonight on News Nation, it's the tragic story that's captivated the nation. Digging into the facts about the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer. Forensic experts and the criminologist who predicted his involvement join Chris live tonight on Cuomo. Plus, News Nation reporter Alex Capriello joins Ashley live in Long Island to go over the mountain of evidence, including an eerie voicemail and a mysterious freezer removed from the suspect's house. Tonight on Banfield. To find News Nation, go to joinnn.com.
You're watching Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR.
Welcome back to Eyewitness News at 6. The New York State Board of Regents voting to update its regulations when it comes to definitions relating to corporal punishment. Capitol correspondent Jamie DeLine has the story.
Corporal punishment is not legal in New York schools, which is when physical force is used on a student for discipline. On Monday, the New York Board of Regents voted to further update its regulations, making it clear what constitutes corporal punishment and what doesn't.
For example, if a teacher was trying to protect himself or herself from a student who's lunging at the teacher or a student lunging at another student, any type of restraint that would be involved in that interaction would not constitute corporal punishment because you'd be protecting another human being.
In the past, a student could be restrained if they were causing damage to physical property.
If we had someone who knocked over a filing cabinet or knocked over a desk, if a child had done that, then the staff or the faculty, if properly trained, were technically able to restrain that child. And now that's been taken away.
The New York State Education Department released a statement saying in part, quote, "The department's updated regulations continue to prohibit the use of corporal punishment and aversive interventions inconsistent with federal guidance at a prohibition on the use of seclusion."
It really basically, follows a whole bunch of studies that indicate that when you put kids in secluded rooms, you lock the door, you place them in a position where you are, really engaging in a whole bunch of potential emotional harm. And the state is indicating that that's just not in any way, shape, or form pedagogically appropriate.
The New York State Education Department says the changes were based on reports of corporal punishment from school districts, state and federal guidance, and local and national reporting on trauma experienced by students. Leslie Silva, a partner at Tully Rinke, says the definition of corporal punishment was vague, and these new regulations will close legal loopholes.
Schools are going to have to tell the Department of Education, what's been going on, what they've been doing, if they've had to use any restraint or seclusion. And that's really important because we didn't have that data collection before.
Reporting in Albany, I'm Jamie DeLine.
And numbers released today by the Office of State Comptroller's Office, Thomas DiNapoli, sent mixed messages regarding the state's economy. DiNapoli reports that the state took in $27.6 billion in tax revenue in the first quarter of the fiscal year. That was almost $451 million more than what was projected, but it was also $7 billion less than the same time last fiscal year. DiNapoli noted that a slowing of consumer spending and volatility on Wall Street had an impact on personal income tax collection. The state is projecting multi-billion-dollar gaps in the coming years and has a $19 billion contingency fund to help ease that pain. And a two-car accident on Route 365 in the town of Vernon shut down 365 for most of the morning today. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office reports that a car northbound on Route 365 crossed into the opposite lane and hit a pickup truck. The crash occurred a little after 8:30 this morning near the intersection of 365 and 9th Street. The driver of the car, 27-year-old Dakota Little of Oneida, was pronounced deceased at the scene. The driver of the pickup and a 9-year-old passenger in the truck suffered minor injuries. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office is handling the investigation. And unfortunately, a bobcat has tested positive for rabies in Otsego County. That county's Department of Health reports that the positive test came back on Saturday. The bobcat apparently came into contact with a dog, but that dog is vaccinated against rabies. 4 people are undergoing post-exposure treatments, one of those people having actually had contact with the bobcat. The incident took place in the town of Unadilla. Still to come on Eyewitness News at 6, Sports Director Brendan Miller tells us about the Comets season ticket member party going on this evening. Stay with us.
Yeah, check 1, 2, 3. Good evening. I'm Brennan Miller with Eyewitness Sports. And we're talking about the Comets season ticket party. We're talking about, yeah. Thank you. I don't know. Yeah, thanks. Oh, I could see that.
Eyewitness Sports right now.
Good evening, I'm Brennan Miller with Eyewitness Sports. Today, a big day for the Utica Comets off the Adirondack Bank Center ice. A pair of community-minded events taking place revolving around the team and specifically the fans. Today is the day of the Comets season ticket member summer party at the Utica University Nexus Center, featuring food and drinks, raffles, a silent auction, and free public skate and skate rentals. This is an opportunity for Comets season ticket members to get back to the odd as the season rapidly approaches. For some eligible fans, there's also a chance to win their seat for free. That is, of course, if they can make a ice-length shot into a 2x4-inch hole. So some excitement going on at Nexus right now. The party lasts from 5 to 7:30, and we'll have the sights and sounds from that coming up at 11. But all of that was preceded by another big Comets event, Joe Gambardella and Ryan Schmelzer's Comets Kids Camp. The Comets captains running the camp at the Nexus Center today through Thursday, offering players at the Mite, Squirt, Pee-wee, and Bantam levels up to 9 hours of total ice time and personal coaching from the two players over the next 3 days. Along with the on-ice training, players at the camp will also have 4 off-ice training sessions, getting in shape for their upcoming junior hockey seasons, and will also receive a camp jersey and a camp t-shirt. Registration for it is still open, and the link to sign up for the remaining 3 days is at uticacomets.com/camp. Along with hockey, there's also some basketball going on tonight. The Utica Lady Knicks Premier League going on as it does every single Monday night back in action. Last week, Brian Gaetano Company and the reigning champs, Nina's Pizza, both moved to 5-0 on the season, but this week, only one will end the night with an unblemished record as they go head-to-head in the 8:30 p.m. game. We'll have highlights and the scores from all of those contests coming up at 11. And we close out our sports segment tonight with some sad news out of the city of Rome. Former Rome Free Academy football coach Tom Hoke has passed away today. Hoke built one of the most dominant football programs in New York State in his 27 years with the Black Knights. His record, 210 wins, only 41 losses, and 4 ties. Good for a win percentage of .824, the second highest ever among Section 3 coaches, and included a 39-game unbeaten streak. Most of those games played before the state formal championship was set up, but in his time on the sideline, his teams won 19 league titles, 8 sectional championships, a pair of regional crowns, and in 1981, his Black Knight team was voted as state champion by the New York State Sports Writers Association. He was also voted as New York State Coach of the Year that season in '81 and was inducted to the Greater Utica Sports Hall of Fame in 2015. His battles against the other Central Oneida League powerhouses made for many an exciting Friday night on the field that was renamed in his honor. For now, that's all for sports. Check out SeeMyHomepage.com for your top sports stories. We'll close out the broadcast after the break.
This week, with record-breaking heat, just how hot could it get? The dangerous, potentially deadly weather. Plus, the Women's World Cup begins, and we're there. More Americans turn to the most-watched program on television. World News Tonight with David Muir.
Eyewitness News continues on WUTR.
All right, welcome back. Let's get you taken care of. If you're heading out this evening, no weather problems. There could be an isolated shower or storm, but you can see it's not really showing up much here on Futurecast. And then as we go through the day tomorrow, still warm and humid. However, we're going to start to see the humidity levels come down. Also, the smokiness will slowly start to fade as well. But we still have the air quality alert through the day tomorrow. There could be a couple of random showers or thunderstorms that pop up in the afternoon. They will be widely separated, nothing too widespread. I think temperatures tomorrow will actually make it into the low 80s. And then by Wednesday, we'll really notice the drop in the humidity. Wednesday looks like a gorgeous day, lots of sunshine, temperatures right around 80. So again, a chance of a thunderstorm tomorrow, becoming less smoky through the day. But again, we still have that air quality alert in effect. 82, less humidity Wednesday, partly to mostly sunny. Nice day, high near 80. Then it turns warmer, more humid again on Thursday. Highest chance of showers and storms will be late in the afternoon into the evening. Highs into the mid 80s. Friday, expect showers and thunderstorms to be on and off through the course of the day. Temperatures won't be as warm because of the clouds and the showers, 77. And then I think Saturday, it's just a spotty shower or thunderstorm. 76, the spirit of there, and then we clear it out Sunday and Monday with temperatures back into the 80s as more humidity increases. Alrighty, Shelby, that's the latest. Over to you.
All right, thanks, Craig. Thank you for joining us. That's all for Eyewitness News at 6. ABC World News Tonight is next. We'll see you back here again tomorrow.